go on to the end. We shall fight in France. We shall fight on the seas and oceans. We shall fight with growing confidence and growing strength in the air. We shall defend our island, whatever the cost may be. We shall fight on the beaches. We shall fight on the landing grounds. We shall fight in the fields and in the streets. We shall fight in the hills. We shall never surrender.
There'll always be an England where there's a country lane, wherever there's a cottage small beside a field of grain. There'll always be an England where there's a busy street, wherever there's a turning wheel, a million marching feet.
In the early summer of 1944, Churchill's words were to become prophetic as a secret operation began to take shape. On June the 6th, 44, thousands of Allied troops landed on the beaches of Normandy in northern France at the start of a major offensive against Nazi Germany. Thousands of paratroopers and glider-borne troops were dropped behind enemy lines. 1,300 RAF planes were involved in that first wave, followed by 1,000 American bombers. Winston Churchill told MPs that Operation Neptune was proceeding in a thoroughly satisfactory manner. BBC correspondents with the Army, Navy and Air Force on D-Day used new portable midget recorders designed by BBC engineers, which were to prove invaluable at the front. It was, at the time, the lightest recording unit in the world, and it carried 12 double-sided discs which allowed more than an hour's broadcasting and included a microphone with a spring clip that could be fastened onto anything from a steel helmet to a tank. The discs were transcribed at Broadcasting House before being sent to the censors. Robin Duff was one of those using the new recording equipment.
It's 20 minutes to 8 in the evening, a matter now of only a few hours to H hour. At any time now, we may see action. At any moment, the German advanced defenses may come into play. And so, while we steam steadily along a course that's carrying us south towards the Seine, I'm taking this chance of recording. At noon today, we raised anchor, and we were ready to go. Slowly and majestically, as minesweepers and destroyers curved their way into position, we gave the lead to the other transports. Under a grey sky, we looked at the coast of Britain and watched it slowly grow more dim. On the decks and in the holds, the soldiers were waiting, for the most part, standing about, looking out to sea, talking now and then, and thinking. In the wardroom, dinner. From the menu, soup, roast beef and green peas, and apples and cream. It might have been a crossing to Cherbourg in peacetime. And then you realized that your hand was moving just a little sluggishly to your mouth. Your tummy wasn't just where it usually was. The men around you were rather silent, and when they spoke, they were self-conscious. It was a room full of men on the way, wondering, waiting, and listening. On deck, signals were flashing between ships. Enterprise had run up a flag signal. Boat crews were making their final preparations. There was a tenseness and a sense of good humor and good fellowship that were impossible of translation into words. And now, as the time draws near for darkness, and we sail steadily nearer to the coastline of France, most of those same things are still happening. Every man is wondering, every man is completely calm.
They say there's a troop ship just leaving Bombay, bound for old Blighty Shore, heavily laden with time-expired men, bound for the land they adore. There's many an airman just finishing his time, there's many a twerp signing on. You'll get no promotion this side of the ocean, so cheer up my lads, bless 'em all, bless 'em all, bless 'em all, the long and the short and the tall. Bless all the sergeants and WO1s, bless all the corporals and their blinking sons, 'cause we're saying goodbye to them all, as back to their billets they crawl. You'll get no promotion this side of the ocean, so cheer up my lads, bless 'em all. They say if you work hard, you'll get better pay. We've heard all that before. Clean up your buttons and polish your boots. Scrub out the barrack room floor. There's many a rookie has taken it in, hook, line and sinker and all. You'll get no promotion this side of the ocean, so cheer up, my lads, bless 'em all. Bless 'em all, bless 'em all, the long and the short and the tall. Bless all the sergeants and WO1s, bless all the corporals and their blinking sons, 'cause we're saying goodbye to them all, as back to their billets they crawl. You'll get no promotion this side of the ocean, so cheer up, my lads, bless 'em all.
The first aircraft that is going to lead the very front in the early hours of tomorrow morning is turning onto the end of the tarmac to make its takeoff. A graceful machine, and its wingtip light shining red and green over the heads of the dark, small figures of people on the aerodrome watching it take off. Taking off from here loaded with parachutists, and taking with it perhaps the hopes and the fears and the prayers of millions of people in this country who sleep tonight not knowing that this mighty operation is taking place. There she goes now, the first aircraft leading the attack on Europe.
Flight Lieutenant Caverhill of the radio unit was present at a top-secret briefing for D-Day. These words are from his notes. I've attended quite a few briefings since joining the RAF, but never one like the briefing for this show. In Bomber Command, there's an added tension in the briefing room when it's known that the target is Berlin. It was not only going to be hit by air, but we were going to take the first step in reaching it by land. Imagine a big marquee, about 200 officers seated on forms, Navy, Army, Air Force. For this was combined operations, the biggest combined operation in history. The job was to hold the beaches, to make and keep them serviceable, establish communications, and get the Army and Air Force supplies through. Round the walls of a tent were large-scale maps of the beach sectors on which we were to land. Even in the final briefing, we were not told our destination. We knew it would be the continent, and that is all. Maps and photographs showed every detail of our particular stretch of beach, the obstacles, the dunes, and the houses beyond. The location of minefields inland. A few days earlier, General Montgomery had briefed his senior officers. Some of the things he said were passed on to us.
On the eve of this great adventure, I send my best wishes to every soldier in the Allied team. To us is given the honor of striking a blow for freedom which will live in history. And in the better days that lie ahead, men will speak with pride of our doings. We have a great and a righteous cause. Let us pray that the Lord, mighty in battle, will go forth with our armies, and that his special providence will aid us in the struggle. I want every soldier to know that I have complete confidence in the successful outcome of the operations that we are now about to begin. With stout hearts and with enthusiasm for the contest, let us go forward to victory.
There's a garden, what a garden, only happy faces bloom there, and there's never any room there for a worry or a gloom there. Oh, there's music and there's dancing and a lot of sweet romancing. When they play the polka, they all get in the swing. papa. Everybody feels so tra-la-la. They want to throw their cares away. They all go la-dee-ah-dee-ay. Then they hear a rumble on the floor, the floor. It's a big surprise they're waiting for. And all the couples form a ring. For miles around you'll hear them sing. Roll out the barrel, we'll have a barrel of fun. Roll out the barrel, we've got the blues on the run. Sing boom tarero, ring out a song of good cheer. Now's the time to roll the barrel.
The BBC's Frank Gillard reported, England has become one vast ordnance dump and field park. I've driven through it today for the best part of 100 miles. The roads crammed with military traffic in every wood and copse, in leafy dead-end lanes and side roads, often in private gardens, under quarries and embankments. There it all was. Trucks, ambulances, tanks, armoured cars, carriers, jeeps, bulldozers, ducks, and vehicles of all kinds. And great mountains of stores, weapons, ammunition, rations, bridging equipment, tyres, timber, millions of tons. And everywhere we've met columns of men in battle dress, men marching, men running, men deployed on exercise, men being transported here and there by the thousand, in trucks and lorries, men testing their equipment, tuning up their engines and waterproofing their vehicles. I passed a field where 22 men in khaki shirts, battle dress trousers and heavy hobnail boots were having a quiet knock-up game of cricket.
Me luck as you wave me goodbye. Keep me off if I go on my way. Wish me luck as you wave me goodbye. With a tea, not a tea, make it gay.
And at last the moment has arrived. D-Day is announced on the BBC by John Snagg.
D-Day has come. Early this morning, the Allies began the assault on the northwestern face of Hitler's European fortress. The first official news came just after 9:30, when Supreme Headquarters of the Allied Expeditionary Force, usually called SHAPE from its initials, issued Communique Number 1. This said, under the command of General Eisenhower, Allied naval forces supported by strong air forces began landing Allied armies this morning on the northern coast of France. It was announced a little later that General Montgomery is in command of the army group carrying out the assault. This army group includes British, Canadian, and United States forces. The Allied Commander-in-Chief, General Eisenhower, has issued an order of the day addressed to each individual of the Allied Expeditionary Force. In it, he said, "Your task will not be an easy one. Your enemy is well-trained, well-equipped, and battle-hardened. He will fight savagely. But this is the year 1944. The tide has turned. The free men of the world are marching together to victory."